Hello and welcome. I am playing a long form game, this time on Lichess. And the time control is 30 minutes each. You get an extra 15 seconds per move, per player. So we're going to have time enough, or a bit more time to think. Still not as enough time as I'm going to have in the actual Canberra Chess Club tournament, but more time than normal. Now, striking in the center here seems very, very normal, even if he pins my knight, because in that case, I can just take the pawn. If he takes back, I can even consider taking like this. And after takes, I think I'm up a pawn. So let's strike in the center. And if he does something like this, then I can probably go, okay, so he takes. I can actually take with my queen here, given that that's pinned. But I could take like this and put pressure on this piece. And that's really all I'm going to consider. I'm not going to consider castling here. I think that just gives him opportunities to defend this pawn. Maybe through something like that, although that doesn't actually work. So maybe I could just castle here as well. We're playing a strong player, so I want to make sure I do this right. This is the most natural way to take, pressuring the knight, and essentially threatening takes, he takes, or take with a fork. And because of that, he needs to deal with that. This wouldn't even do the trick because we hit the queen, he has to take, so that's fine. But I think this move would do the trick. We hit the queen, he can take like this. And we're doing perfectly fine there. We could also go take, he does this, take. If he takes with the bishop, we can then castle. And if he takes this, bring the rook across. I think that looked pretty good, really. So the question is, why not play this? Let's say he does this. We've got this, he can play this check though. Then we can actually do this. Take. Yeah, that should still be good for us. Look, this can't be bad, so let's give it a go. Don't want to spend all the time doing nothing much. Okay, we've got plenty of time, so no excuses in this game. We want to play a good quality chess game here. That is what we're about right now. And as always, going to try and play very patiently in this game. We're 5 moves in at the moment, expecting this to go for 40 or 50 moves at least. He breaks the pin. As mentioned, I can simply take, and after he takes back, I can castle, and that's probably fine. I can also take, he takes back, I take, ruining his pawn structure, then I castle, and I've got a very comfortable position there, do I not? So the question is, why would I not play that? Why wouldn't I do this? If he ruins his pawn structure straight away involuntarily, I still castle and I look, as far as I can tell, pretty comfortable. But I could also play something like c4, really getting this kind of bind on that d5 square, then playing my knight in here. If he takes here, I can take with check. When he takes back, then I take this. And that looks good too. Lots of good options. So I think this looks pretty nice. The question is, do I want to? I can start like this anyway, and then play this. So maybe I take once and then play c4. That would be a nice way to gain space and a natural kind of play. But it would give him the bishop pair. Unless he takes with the bishop, then take, c4 would be good too. That would be a good position for me. I'm fairly confident. So take, he takes like this. c4, let's say he attacks the pawn here. It's b3. And I've got to say, I think that looks good. If he ever does this, trying to fianchetto, I can beat him to the punch. Like I say, put my knight here. I mean, that all looks good, right? So I don't think I need to spend forever on this decision. The only other thing to consider is, do I just castle right away? Is that not just quicker? And if he takes, I take, he takes, I take, I'm castled. He has a pawn here that's maybe not quite as good as ours. It's really up to me here, I think, how I want to go about this. Could also play a move like this. Take, 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 take. I do like this idea of c4 though. And then just see. If he attacks my bishop in that position, then I can take, and if he takes back, just immediately jumping my knight in here. But maybe c4 and clamping down on this square is not so good if he actually has a pawn here, because I can never really use the outpost. At least not in the short term. So something like this, 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 this. Yeah, I can still put my knight here, but where does it go from there? If I do it immediately, or if I do this, 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 you know, that might be all right. I think I'm going to castle. Okay, because I'm not too sure about this c4 idea, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to castle at some point. I'm not afraid of this continuation. It looks good for me. So let's do that. We've got a pawn in the center. We've got some pieces out. Our king's already castled. His is not. It's a nice position. Can continue in this way if we like. We can continue like this. Drawing arrows everywhere. So he takes. We have to take here now. Check. Then pick the knight up. The queen is centralized and can be attacked, but that leaves behind a backwards pawn. And if I play this straight away, he attacks my queen. So we may not be able to do it immediately, but the fact that it's a backwards pawn means we can probably even just come somewhere like this. Then after something like this, I think we could even just develop. Well, at that point, I think c4 would make sense, because there's never going to be a pawn there anymore. c4, knight c3, knight d5. And we have a nice knight. If he ever takes, then the queen can recapture. We can put rooks behind. We can target this pawn for the rest of the game slowly. So you can see something like that happening. So if he does actually attack our queen immediately, I think we want to stay on the d file, because I think this is where the action is going to be. I don't think we want to block in the bishop. I don't think we want to occupy the square ourselves immediately, because we just lose the tempo and have to move anyway. We might want to come here where we protect this pawn directly. I'm not afraid of this, of course. And I don't think we want to come back here and undevelop the queen, because why would we do that? So I think this move would make sense. And then these moves probably make sense after that. And let's see what he wants to do. I guess he can castle. If he castles long here, can we take the pawn? I guess we can. Yeah. I don't see why not. As it currently stands, he has a pawn majority on the queen side. And we have a pawn majority on the king side. Develops the knight this way. He wants to probably come here. Maybe first with this move and then this, I'm not sure. I don't think we need to be terrified of this idea though. We can maybe play c4 already. If he plays this move, we can drop as planned. He might want to come here then. We could possibly play this move too, and if he takes, we can take back. That's a pinned knight. It's hemming in the bishop. The bishop would like to fianchetto itself, but it wouldn't be able to. So if this is played and he comes here, then we can come here, but he takes and we pin him. And we're ready to play this on the next move, but he attacks the queen. Queen comes back. He's still pinned. So this is an interesting idea. I don't want to do anything too drastic too soon. Maybe rook e1. He attacks us, we drop back. Maybe even in that case, after rook e1 he attacks us, maybe we drop back here. That blocks the bishop in though. Maybe c4, and then here. I do kind of like the look of that. Maybe f4 makes sense here too. Maybe f4. He can play this to attack the queen. He could also, of course, play this move. But f4 does make sense. It's a very sensible move, I think. Also gets space. c4 and f4 both look playable. Would want the king to be out of the way. What can we do? We could also do something like this, so that after this we can just drop the queen back one square, and there's no need to worry about this. But even in that case, we do still need to worry about this hitting the queen. So maybe this, 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 and if this, well, we can come here in that case, hitting the knight, and if it moves back, potentially we can take this pawn. I think f4 is fine. If he plays something like this, I think we just take. And if he takes back, we take, he takes, we can play a check. That check should be nice for us. Maybe something like this. He comes here. Plenty of options. We could come here immediately. But I do like this d5 square, hey? f4 and c4, they both look like nice moves. This is probably the less committal. I do think that looks pretty good. Could just go king h1. It's also an option. Again, castles, we can take the pawn. So king h1 might make sense. And just see what he does. Even b3 can make sense. After this, we can stay on this diagonal, which makes it difficult for his bishop to move. Might have to play something like that, but that sort of weakens things around this king. And b3 is kind of natural to include if we're going to play c4. But we might want to put the bishop there instead, which means we might not be afraid of this move after all. So b3, he comes here, we come here. Looks like we block the bishop in, but actually we're developing in a way that protects against any of the knight jumps, other than this one, in which case we get to play f4 with tempo. And we can play bishop b2, c4, f4, king h1, bring rooks out. I think this is making sense. I think I'm leaning towards this move. Let's do it. Let's do this. Again, keep in mind, this is a 30-minute game with a 15-second increment. In the actual Canberra Chess Club tournament, we're playing a 90-minute game with a 30-second increment. So it seems like I'm thinking a long time on these moves, and I am. But I'm going to be thinking, or have the ability to spend even more time when we get down to business in the Canberra Chess Club tournament. Now, if he comes here, I think bishop here immediately does threaten this. He can castle straight away to protect the queen. But then again, f4 hits with tempo. So I've got, I think, a comfortable position here. I have something of a plan. Also, if he castles long, these pawns could run towards him at some stage. If he does this, I've got this. So his bishop's a bit of a problem. He probably should play this now, because then after this he can at least contest the bishop. Although in that case, I just take and ruin his pawn structure. He can maybe use this file to attack me after he castles long. So I think this is probably a good move. We play this, he comes here. I could also consider this move. Or for that matter, I could consider this c4 idea immediately. If he takes, I take. I'm attacking this pawn. If he castles, well, then I get my knight up, and it just looks like a nice position. This square looks like it's for my knight. My rooks are coming to the center. Doesn't look like a bad position to be in. So I think if this... The other potential move would be f4, so that when he plays this, I can play this. If he takes, I take. Okay, so he castles instead. So here I think I'm just going to play this relatively quickly. I think that's nice, putting pressure on the pawn. He can't fianchetto his bishop anymore. And even coming here just gives up a pawn with tempo. And it's true he gets this file to attack down. So if I then come back, does he have any immediate check? I take, check, I come here, and he comes here. Ideas? I don't think so, but maybe. I guess there I can play f4. My queen protects. So I'm not sure if he plays this. I don't know if it's worth actually taking this pawn. Might be better off starting with f4. Then if he puts the bishop here, again, there's this move. If he takes, I take, check. He takes, I take. He takes, I take, he takes. Maybe, maybe not. But I can just also continue with my plan. c4, knight c3, and ultimately knight c5, bringing rooks to the center. Maybe there's nothing here, and again, we're going to play very patiently. It's only move 11. But it's an interesting setup here, that's for sure. I think king h1 still is a nice move at certain points just to get off this diagonal, since he has a dark squared bishop. Could be relevant at some point. But we want to time that kind of move properly. f4 might be biting off more than we can chew. Taking too much space, opening the king too much. Even f3. But again, later in the game it might make sense. And I still think this pawn structure is pretty nice. Bringing the knight here also looks quite nice. Maybe even bringing the knight here first and foremost. So like say he does this, come here, he does this. Come here. Then he does what he does, maybe something. Okay, he protects that. So now I can come here, and after this I can come here. Bishop's going to be dominated by my knight, I think. So I think this makes sense. Then once I'm here, I can play c4. So this, he comes here. I still just get this move in anyway. If he takes, I can take back with the pawn. Shutting down the file that he currently owns. And again, looking to play c4 in the future. So I think that move makes lots of sense. That's what I'm aiming for. If he plays this, I still play this. And after this, then I think c4, again, just makes sense. And the idea there would really be to try and get this break in at some point, wouldn't it? So this, 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 this. This, if takes, takes. But otherwise, maybe there, king h1 and f4. On the verge of trying it. Otherwise, if he comes here, 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 then f4 may not be really necessary. After this and this, and this, then I could play, maybe very simply, rook to the e file. And it looks like we're going to get into an endgame. It's kind of how this looks to me. Let's try this. Not afraid of this. Another move I could try there would even be a3, just to kick the knight, say, where do you go? Because if he just comes back and I establish my knight here after all, maybe I can claim that I'm a bit better. My pawn structure there is a little bit funny, potentially. But let's see. Also after this and this, if played, is there a take, queen comes here move? I don't think so. I think he just doubles his rooks. Although doubling the rooks lets the knight jump in here with a fork. That would be the beauty of having a knight here, is that if he plays this move, that knight would land very nicely on ef6. So maybe that does justify a3 hitting the knight. He comes back, we come here. Then if this is played, we're straight away on the queen and the rook. So I think it's a nice position. He's got plenty of time to play a nice move as well. But I think so far so good. And he's moved rook e8. Taking aim at this pawn. I could also just respond in kind, rook e8. I wonder what happens if I play this anyway and say, you can take that. Do I have any tactics there? I don't think I have any tactics there, but I could move the queen up one square. Not sure that achieves much. I could play f3 just to really defend this pawn nicely. Could play the queen out to here. But then it's subject to be attacked. pawn is already defended, but I'd like my knight to be up here. That's my point. So I think this makes a lot of sense. It's not the only move. I could also play this, since this is defended at the moment anyway. If I play this, he comes here. That's quite interesting, but not interesting enough to do. We can do this, but maybe we should just play f3. It does open up my dark squares though for his bishop to potentially exploit later. So I think this might be a better way to go. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's prepare this move. f3 can still be played in the future if I want it to be played. Maybe I can even just play king f1 at this point, bring my king closer toward the center for the endgame. We'll see. But just overprotecting this pawn so that I free my knight up again to continue with my plan. Again, if this is played, I come here, and now the bishop really doesn't have a good square to go to. And if this is played, I come here, and this square is still very, very juicy, so he still doesn't have a good square for this bishop in these lines. If this is played, I think that justifies, therefore, kicking the knight back so I can get my knight here, and just saying the bishop is currently out of play. Again, this, I do this. If he does play this, I would take the bishop, and when he takes back, I come here, forking these two. And that would give me, even if it is still a draw, it would give me a nice, comfortable edge to be able to press. And if I don't get anything better than draw, fine, but I probably wouldn't lose that. Still, we're only 13 moves in. I think this move is most likely to occur. If this is played, do I want to play this anyway and just allow take, take, maybe a take, and then I take here? Well, possibly, but I think that's an easier position for him than it is if I play a3, kicking the knight away. Because kicking the knight away, this knight's very annoying. Let's say his knight jumps back here and my knight jumps up here. He could play this move to kick me away. But then he's opening up his king, creating some weaknesses. Perhaps then I just drop back this way. Pawn might hang though. That might be what I do in that case. a3, he plays knight a6, and then b4, and then the knight is kind of out of play. That would be its only available square. And even if it came back here, it still doesn't really have many great options. My knight can still get here in the future. So yeah, if he plays that, I'll play a3. If he comes back, then I'll come here. Whereas if he goes here, then I think b4 looks good. Just creeping up the board here, making a bit of space, cramping his knight. There he would be able to play this move. But I could even play this then, hitting the knight. He comes here. I do this move, and my pawns are making progress towards that king. Okay, he can fianchetto his bishop. But I can protect mine, and I'm still ready to play this knight move. So I think I like all the look of that. Just don't think it's bad anyway. Backup plan is just this. Although that's probably just a draw, because it doesn't seem like I have an initiative there at all. Just looks like even forces facing off against each other. I have a bit of space, but can't really do anything with it. Maybe in the long term something would still happen. Another option might be something like this to attack the knight. And then if the knight moves, perhaps I come back this way. Although if this and this, he can take. So this and this might make sense. Threatening this. If this and this, still play this. Threatening this guy. If this, fine, we play this eventually. But because of that, I kind of think we play this regardless. If he comes in here, let's just play a3. Kick him away. And then we've already talked about the plan from there. I'll come back when he's made a move. Well, he hasn't made a move yet, but I'm just thinking if this and this and this and my intended b4, I do restrict his knight somewhat, but I also have this backward pawn. I guess it's important there to consider that whether I play this or this, I can follow up like so and get c4 in at some point, sort of rectifying that pawn issue. Probably this is where his bishop belongs. Okay, he plays his move. It's a queen move, allowing me to come here actually with my knight. He can't take here because I win too much material in that instance. So I do get my knight here. That prevents him from getting his knight here. Maybe what he would do is something like this. Okay, but then I play c4. If he takes, I take, and he has to move the queen again. Things look good for me, I think. Again, maybe not winning. How about this move? Not sure about that one. But this does seem quite promising. I think this seems quite promising. Let's do it. There's also this as a possibility. And hey, why not play this move? Even if it is a draw, playing this move is probably not bad. I wonder if there's any tactics going to be available soon. Maybe if the knight moves, there might be. Again, f3 might become a good move just to overprotect this pawn. But I like that my rook is facing off against his queen here on the e-file. He has solved the potential issue here, I think, of this fork. Well, not really. If he plays this, the fork is in play, because my bishop is helping defend that square. If he plays this, well, I could take, but then I'm using a strong knight to take a weak bishop, helping him get more pieces onto the e-file. So if he plays this, I might be better served considering f4 and then f5. Leaves a backwards pawn here though. Maybe just c4 as previously planned. Maybe this or this. I think that's probably the plan in the long term, is to push these pawns towards this king. We are castled on opposite sides of the board, so in general, mutual pawn storms is the prescription. But I think the position is a lot more comfortable for me to play anyway. Maybe that's why he ought to play this move. But then takes, he takes. His king's a bit open, but I probably can't do anything about it. I can give this check, but he moves back here to defend the pawn. Right, so he moves the queen. Lining up with my king. This pawn is pinned, it does not defend either of these squares. So maybe his plan is to play this and then this, with this fork against all of these guys. His other plan here is probably to take this, and then take back again. So, nice move. I can defend the pawn, but he comes here. The threat here is still real. But I can take, say he takes back. I can then come here, threatening mate. He can defend it though. Can also try this move right away, hitting the queen. And just asking the queen where it wants to go, because these squares are no longer safe. These squares aren't safe. This square is not safe. This square is not safe. So if we do this, he's got to choose one of those three squares. If this one, we can play this, attacking the queen again. Defending this pawn again. So eventually it's going to end up on one of these squares, you would think. And do we have anything there? Well, there's no check, unfortunately. We could try not that. Could try this. Could try this move too, just pinning the knight. But then if the knight moves, we have a mate. But this he takes. We take, he comes here. We come here, hitting the queen. If the queen takes knight, we've got this check. He comes back here. And we've got this check. He's got, you know, that actually might be a winning sequence. I doubt it, but if he takes, we take, he takes, and we come here. Let's say he takes, it's got to be the most challenging move to think about. We then have check. If he comes here, could be an issue. But if we come here, he takes, we take, he takes, we come here. If he takes and we take, I think we're better. And if this, he takes, we take, he takes, we come here, he takes this, we can go check. But then he has this move. Then we can come here, hitting the rook. The rook is already defended though. So I don't think it quite works. We could try this. He takes, we come here. He takes, we come here. And we're threatening check. I mean, this is almost nice, but it's just not quite there, is it? We could try this, of course. This defends the pawn and also prepares a check. And if after check he moves here, this is kind of nice. So this could be a nice response. Really have to be careful after a move like this though. We take, he takes, we take, he takes, we take. I think we're doing well. Looks decent. But this is nice too. We're protecting the pawn laterally. Don't want to go wrong here. Again, this move is probably a bit too speculative. Don't like it. This is possible if I don't want to be in line with his rook. Might have to be willing to part ways with this. After the check, yeah, I'm not seeing heaps. Not seeing heaps of opportunity. I just don't want to open up my king. This seems like it should be sustainable. F5 seems like the kind of move you'd like to play. Playing this does prevent it until this hits the board, but I take, let's say he takes like this. I then have F4. When he moves back, I do potentially have F5. Or even after this and this and this, and let's say he takes. I've got this move as well. Threatening mate. I think he has to play this then. Then you can attack the queen. You can attack the queen straight away, like I was saying earlier. Once he comes like here or here, not sure what we've gained. What does he do though? Probably this. Then after take, if he takes with the rook, then this. It's not awe-inspiring. Meanwhile, my knight's pretty fine here, so f3 is looking on the cards. Maybe this queen move. Then the queen can infiltrate a bit easier than it can currently. The knight holds the other knight, except for this square. From this square, he doesn't really threaten much anyway. In fact, this would fall. You'd have to come back. This could be a way to go. This move will follow most likely. Then I've got this. Threatening mate. If this is played, I can attack the queen. Or I can even come here, but I think attacking the queen's probably better. I think it's probably going to be f3. He might come here anyway, hey? Then this, and then that. So I will move the queen after all. Prevents this move. And it gets out of a potential fork on this square from the knight if the knight does get around here. I'm no longer situated in a forkable position. I can actually just take the knight in that case. Now here I just need to decide whether I want to actually give the bishop up. I don't think so, so where do I go? I can give a check. That might be the best idea. We could trade queens. I could also, like I say, come here, threaten mate. I think he has to play this then. Then I've got this to attack the queen. That might be a way to go. Say the queen moves here to attack me. Perhaps then I just come here. Defending myself, having provoked, you could say a weakness, but not a huge weakness really. So this I think is necessary. Because that fails, yeah. So I think if this, actually my knight doesn't need to move there because its pawn's pinned. So this, I guess there I can play f4. And his knight kind of does have to move. Where does it move to? Check, I take. He can then take. But he has ruined his pawn structure there. Maybe even I play this to prepare this f4 idea. So this, this, let's say this. I mean, this is the alternative, I suppose. That opens up his bishop. It's not the only alternative. I mean, I can play this to take aim at this pawn. Shame I can't take aim at this pawn and the mate at the same time. I could if I had my queen here somehow. Let's say take. He comes here. This, this, and this. Nah. I don't think there's anything there. So he plays the move. And another move now comes to mind that I hadn't seen earlier, and that's queen b5, attacking the rook. He would have this fork. Then there's this check, which you can just take. And then I take. I don't think I've gained anything there. I could start by attacking the queen. Queen moves. Then I come here. He still has this attacking my queen. So I don't think that's worth much. Again, this that I've looked at, I don't know if it's so good. There's the immediate f4. Immediate f4 has potential. Could even follow it like so. There's c4, I guess. No, there's not. Take. He comes here. Then c4. Yeah, we're going into an endgame. So this game is far from over. Game is far from over. I can move my king. I can move my king toward the center. But I have to deal with this first. So maybe take, then move. It's possible. Check is possible. Should we try that? Or do we try this? Or this. I mean, this is pretty simple. My knight get a bit dominated there, though. All right, we'll play this. I'm happy to give this knight away to ruin the pawn structure for him. And it's not obviously for free, because after this move, we're threatening mate. I think he has to play this, but he can't take my knight yet because of the pin. So after this, I can play this. And if check, I could even consider just moving out the way, giving up the rook, if there was an attack. But I don't think there is there any kind of an attack. So I think that after the check, I'll take like so. He goes back that way. Fine. Now that this has a threat though, doesn't it? Okay, so now he's attacking this pawn again twice. How about we just protect this pawn once and for all? So we don't have to worry about it anymore. Let's do that. We got to keep the knight in the center. We got to keep our bishop. I think that was actually a good transformation for us. His position remained the same. You could say that he's induced a weakness, but I don't think you can exploit it necessarily. We can move the king out the way. We can defend things. Just keep on playing. I think this move might make sense so that we threaten this. And again, if the knight were to move, there could be a mate coming soon. So he has to be aware of this. Maybe play something like that, but then there's this to reinstate the threat. He does this, we go like this, this, and then the rook gets in. So I think this kind of pawn storm could start to happen with this pressure. Again, his bishop's not doing much at this moment. If he does this, we come here. If he comes here, maybe we would have to go take. He takes back like this. At that point, we probably have to play this move. Not sure I like that. I don't want to be under that much pressure. So here there's also the option to take. This could even be an option. But yeah, here we could take. When he takes back, we claim, hey, we've got the bishop. So even though we've weakened this diagonal, it's going to be hard for you to make the most of it. And even though, you know, you've got a rook here, as long as this pawn's intact, your rook's not doing much. It has to get back around this way. That's going to take too long to be very dangerous. So maybe if he plays this, we might just take. He probably takes back with the rook, getting ready to double. So after this, this, and this. Funny thing is, it's kind of hard for him to double because he loses this pawn. He plays it. He does play it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I don't want this opening up. And I'd rather have a bishop compared to a knight. All right, so let's play on. How about this move? I don't think we can play that yet. This move might make sense. This move could also make sense to restrict the knight, for it doesn't want to lose the pawn here. It also allows us to push the other pawn. This move may also make some sense. But I do like that we're pressuring this pawn for the time being, so I think for the time being we might just bring a rook towards the center. Yep, let's put a rook in the center for now. If the knight moves, we're almost threatening to take this pawn. If the knight and queen both move, because this pawn here is pinned. So we're being aware of that. And just trying to make it difficult for him. We might move our king out the way so that we don't run into troubles. But for now, everything's solid. Might need to get our own king active, actually. We can probably use this dark diagonal. But maybe not yet. Maybe after moves like this first. All right, so he does close down on this diagonal. Now we can play this, hitting a rook. Seems like a sensible idea. He's going to double, of course. We can bring our queen back here, for instance. We can bring a rook here also. He can attack our queen from here, but not straight away. And also keep in mind, we might just come back here and see if he moves the knight somewhere. Because if he does move the knight, we may be able to snatch this pawn, since he's now blocking his queen's defense of this pawn. So a knight move may lead to this. He then has this. It's quite complex, really. But also after this move, we can come here. Attacking this. And we should be fine. Like maybe it would have been more accurate just to come back here already. Or maybe come here or something. Or here. But got to be aware of his knight forks. And maybe my plan should be push the pawns towards his king. I think that's probably accurate. Maybe he should do the same. Can I take this straight away? He takes back, his knight's now pinned. It probably would be a threat after this. So he comes here. See, that's interesting. I like this move. I'm going to play it. But he's going to play this. So be it. Play your move. I might then just play this to defend. Then after a move like this, again, we have this idea, but it's maybe not as strong as what I thought. Maybe this would have even been the better way to go. But nevertheless, let's see. I think the position's still solid. This can still come pretty quickly. And after this, this, and this. I can come here. And things should be fine. That move I didn't expect. Can I play this now? If he takes, I come here. Well, I need to do something now, so let's do something. Oh, giving up a pawn. Probably not what I wanted to do. Also probably not the worst thing ever. Follow up like this. Or like this. Kicking this rook again. Ah, here we go. So we can take this. He wants to take here, but we take back. Then he takes. That is the problem. So I'm just going to move. So that if he takes, we can just take with the pawn. This is a threat, as far as I can tell. And the increment here definitely helps. I've got 15 seconds on each move. If he does this, I think I will need to play something like that. Ooh, that's a big move. That's a very big move. I think I have to play this. I probably went for too much, you know. I think in a position that seemed like a draw from pretty much the beginning, I tried to push too hard. And that's why my position now seems a bit shaky. If he makes a mistake, I might still win, but I probably should have settled for a draw. We're both low on time. I should maybe think about just coming back and defending at this point. I mean, yeah, takes. But there's no follow-up there. Maybe this, but maybe this would be the fault. Okay, he comes back there. He's defending this. So how about now move like this? He is also attacking this though. You could play this as well. Okay. Now I can take this, funnily enough. If I want to be let's just go crazy. Yeah, let's go crazy. What the hell? Can I then take here and start checking him? Possibly. I think this move makes a lot of sense. Possibly guarding some of these squares and also threatening the knight. If the knight moves, there could even be a mate here. Yeah, you could take, I suppose. But here, all right, fine. We come here. Thankfully, this square is at least guarded. We can attack the queen. Can also then maybe take this pawn. Threatening check, check, check. Ooh, I didn't see that. Yeah, that'll end the game. Nothing to do with the king. Can only give up a rook for free or a queen for free. Push too hard, I think, is the issue. I think I simply pushed too hard. I don't see the resign button anywhere. There it is. Yeah, pushed too hard. Let's have a quick look at the analysis. That is a shame. Just want to see what the evaluation says. Basically all throughout. Have a slight edge, obviously being white. Castles was fine. Take, 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 take. Very comfortable. B2 it didn't love. Sorry, B3 it did not love that move. It wanted... Well, I don't know what it wanted. It wanted knight c3. But, okay. B3. Still pretty even. Maybe black's slightly better here. After this move... Yeah, I got my knight up. Certainly felt comfortable for me. The evaluation agrees it's comfortable. Here I went, yeah, that was nice. He came back. Ooh, I missed something here. B4. B4 immediately, yeah. B4 immediately. I think I mentioned this. Threatening this. And I thought if he played this, then A4 would be very nice. Maybe I only saw it later. Like here maybe. Take, take. Put my rook over. And yeah, here it's a dead draw. And I thought maybe I should just bring the queen back or something like that. But I tried to push. Still basically a draw. Even at B4, it's basically a draw. That was a blunder. In time pressure, just giving away a pawn, but he didn't do anything with it. And then here I blundered again. Queen G3, H3 is forced. And what he should have done here to win the game was take, take, and knight takes, hitting the rook and threatening mate. So yes, I definitely mucked that up, but he mucked it up too. Again, he would have had a chance here to take this pawn, and again, he didn't take it. And then for some reason I decided, oh, let's just go crazy. Yeah, let's go crazy. Great way to lose the game. Yeah, and then unsurprisingly got mated shortly after going crazy for some reason. I guess I'd had enough. You probably had enough too. We'll see you next time.